Hello and welcome to episode 44 of the Nethergreen podcast. I am your host, Bradley, and we've got a bit of a special episode today because it's the second episode where Hector isn't here. And I know what you're thinking, last time this happened, I managed to get down Dan and Tom and we still had a good one, but this time it's looking like it's just going to be me. But that's fine, I feel like I can do this. I can do an hour-long solo episode, and if there's no choice, then I'm going to do what I can to entertain the people.
So anyway, there I was.
Oh.
Stuck. And...
Where the fuck did you come from? Holy shit.
Hey, Bradley.
I guess Leander's here. I guess I won't be alone.
I guess I am. It's a special feature. I haven't actually been on in a while. It's been a hot minute.
It has been a minute.
I don't know how many episodes it's been. Maybe like 3 or 4. I don't know.
I'm going to check. You were last on episode 39, and we're now on 44. So it's actually been like 5 episodes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Time flies.
What happened?
Has it actually... See, yeah, that's a good question. I think the main reason was like...
Actually, does that mean you didn't record with us throughout the entirety of February? I feel like it must mean that, right?
Nah. Oh, yeah, actually,
no, it
maybe.
does, yeah.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So the entirety of February, not one recording sesh. Where have you been? We've all been worried sick.
See, it's funny you mentioned that. Actually, I was abroad in the Alps.
Wow.
Exploring
jungle children. And
yeah.
The
Alps. No, I mean, I've just been like. See, I feel like whenever somebody says they're busy, that's a really shit excuse. But I've just been like, anytime that I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do the podcast, and then it's like, oh, that's not until next week or that kind of thing, and then I just kind of. You know, either have work the next day or that kind of thing and then put it off.
See, my problem with the I'm busy excuse from you is that makes it sound like you think you're busier than me or Hector. Because me and Hector still make time.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, but see, it's quite easy for Hector because it's recorded at his house.
Oh, it's incredibly easy for Hector.
It's like...
It's also a lot easier for me because I can just walk down to work after.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like...
also, you are the busiest man I know, to be fair.
I'm so busy. No. It's more of like a concern that I haven't been able to like reliably get back. So I need a day off afterwards to secure that, but... You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see you back. We're also recording at my house for the first time this season. Because when we switched over to Hector's house, it became season 3.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
And by the way, if you're wondering where Hector is, he is working on an app. It's the app he spoke about before in great detail, the furniture app, and he will probably speak about it next week. Because he will be back next week, he's assured me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, he mentioned briefly about the app to me, but I mean, half of the stuff that he says about it just goes straight over my head, not gonna lie, so...
You don't understand a fucking word.
Yeah, he's just speaking straight Japanese.
Yeah, just complete gibberish. Maybe that's what he's being like, yeah, and you're just like, yeah, man, that app's in.
Yeah. He just starts speaking fucking gibberish, and I'm like, yeah. Man.
He's like one of those little robot bellhops from China. Because I listen to that episode sometimes. Because it's an episode... that's an episode I feel like I can listen to, because I'm actually barely a part of it.
Wait, which one's this?
The one where you and Hector just talk about your trip to China.
Oh, that one, yeah.
We were tripping on acid, if you remember.
Oh, I do remember that.
And I was very non-vocal in it, so that's an episode I can kind of listen to without having to withstand my own voice too much.
Yeah, I think it was because, like, mainly neither of us had, like, spoken, like, in length about it to you. So we just naturally just had like a load of stuff.
Because I kept telling you, save it for the podcast, for the podcast. It's also got my favourite joke that I've made in the podcast in it, where we're talking about the guy in the fog outfit, and I'm like, how much would you have to be paid in order to be in a fog outfit in the boiling hot weather?
Oh,
and you're all saying proper prices, and then someone finally asked me, and I go, oh, I'd do it for the exposure. Which I now just say sometimes, because I
that was where it came from.
Yeah, to this day, I think that's a really funny joke, because it works in two ways. One, because I'm a writer and that's a part of the showbiz, but two, the heat exposure.
The literal sun beating down on you. Yeah.
So I think that's a really clever joke. But yeah, so what, I mean, you say you're busy. What have you been busy doing?
That's true.
I mean, 5 episodes. That's a lot. 5
episodes,
weeks.
That is a lot. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really been busy.
Does that mean I haven't actually seen you
I
in 5 weeks? Actually, now I think about it. When's the last time we saw each other?
Like in person?
Yeah.
It was probably last time we recorded the podcast.
So it's actually been over a month. It doesn't feel like it because we're always on Discord. And
yeah, we're always like chatting and stuff. But no, I've been kind of getting my like back on track with my fitness and stuff like that. So I've been like eating more, and my younger brother, I say younger, that makes him seem like he's much younger, but Gabriel.
Your baby brother.
Yeah, my baby little brother who's taller than me and bigger than me.
And smarter than you and more experienced
just better than me in every way. Yeah, no. He's really into his working out, and so I've just been tagging along with him since I bought a bunch of like gym like equipment way back.
Yeah.
And he's just been using it like working out from home. And so I've just been doing that with him in the evenings. It's been pretty great.
Yeah. You made any improvements yet?
I hope so.
Nice, very nice.
It's hard to tell though.
It is hard to tell.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a pretty low stakes episode this week. To be fair, haven't got many topics. Got 2 main ones, I'd say. Because you've seen Poor Things finally. That's going to be the brunt of it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I've been looking forward to just like talking about it with anyone.
Yeah, true.
But I do want to bring up, because we've just come back from the cinema. We both saw 2 films, but only one of those films were the same film.
True. Yeah.
I went and saw Barbie again. Which I've talked about a lot on the podcast, and not only that, but me and Dan actually recorded a commentary track to it. Which now I think about it, I should have listened to that in the cinema. That would have been dope as fuck. I should have done that.
What a commentary! Oh yeah, shit.
That'd have been really funny. Because I saw it alone, which I do a lot anyway. I'm not embarrassed about that. Whenever I bring it up to my mum, she gets embarrassed. It's like, why? I'm a writer. Most of the things I watch alone. Not even in the cinema, just in my life.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, when you think about it, how many movies do you watch just by yourself, just like the average person?
Exactly.
Loads of people watch movies like all the time, but
no, we can't all be Hector, who never watches anything by himself. Like,
does he not?
He doesn't.
Nothing?
Everything he watches, apart from South Park when he's eating his lunch, he watches with someone.
I was about to say that is a lie, because he definitely watches South Park
literally
every day.
That's the exception.
That's the only exception.
Yeah. But yeah, I went and saw Barbie again. That was very good. And what did you see?
I went to see Dune 2, which really, really, really good movie.
Talk about
I think,
that.
Yeah, so it was kind of... I wasn't sure if before watching it I needed to watch a recap of the first movie, because it was fair. I wouldn't say like massively complicated, but there was a few like important like bits that I was like, while watching the second, I was like, oh shit, I suddenly remember that now.
When's the last time you saw the first movie?
It was last year at some point, so it wasn't like too long ago. Yeah, but really well acted, and also I've been finding more and more in movies, a lot of the CG feels very, very like over the top and like super heavy.
Yeah.
But I feel like in this movie, even though there was a decent amount of it all felt just normal and like natural.
The only film I know I've seen from this same director is Blade Runner 2049 even.
Oh yeah.
Which is the same director. I might have seen more, but the CG in that movie is really well used. Like really effective too. So it doesn't surprise me to learn that. He carried that over to Dune and he's using it appropriately.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen the first one or this one. It's not my genre. Even though it is, I can accept the fact that it's clearly very heavy sci-fi. It still feels fantasy to me, and I don't know how to explain that.
It's I kind of get what you mean, because some parts, when you've got certain like bits going on, it feels very sci-fi, and other parts feel very like fantasy. Like, you're fine with spoilers.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so there was a part where they kind of like the initiation.
Whoa!
Calm down there, buddy. The initiation of Timothy Chalamet.
Apparently, it's not Timothy, by the way.
Is it not Timothy? Is it just Tim?
No. It's spelled Timothy because he's French. Apparently, it's like Timo. It's something like Timothy, something like that.
Oh, damn.
But no one calls him that.
Yeah, I'm going to call him fucking Timothy, because that's how it's spelled.
I'm going to call him Willy Wonka.
Yeah. And there was this point where he was kind of like the end part of his initiation to this like group of natives to this planet. And he had to mount this like worm.
Whoa.
Yeah. And like ride like this giant earthworm that was like, I don't know, like the size of a giant like building, and he kind of like had to grapple on, and it felt very fancy during there, but it's still, you know, I feel like you could still enjoy it.
I wish we could do that in Lethal Company with the earthworms. That'd be sick.
Yeah, that would be.
See, I don't care a lot for media which has like factions, like we are the. It's the same with Game of Thrones. Like, we are the royal blood family, and we're up against the hazelnuts and the mugwash.
Yeah, it was very faction based.
It feels like that, and you know, we've got to lead the revolution. I don't care, man. I don't care about your revolution. I don't give a shit about any of this. Like, I can't think of a lot of shows or movies that I really enjoy that do lean into that sort of thing.
Is that because of like the tropes used? Like, is it just like I know what's gonna happen and I know what to expect, therefore it's gonna be boring, or is it just like that in and of itself?
No, in a way, yeah, kind of both. Like, because it is very tropey. Anything to do with a revolution is very tropey to me. I always, as a writer, I think the opposite is, if anything, is more interesting. Like, a revolution is happening. Like, if someone was trying to stop a revolution, I'd find that interesting. That'd be an interesting premise. But leading one, it's like, man, it's not. I don't feel like it's that hard. I feel like I could lead a revolution if I tried hard enough.
Bradley, what are you trying to say here?
But also, yeah, I find it boring. I don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be like, it's too complicated for my little brain. But it's more like, I'm not like I need to care, and obviously I need to watch it to care. But I'm going to watch it, and for the longest time, I'm really not going to care. And
you have to be almost invested in the politics of a made-up world.
Exactly.
And that's not what you're looking for.
And it's not just like, for example, there are a lot of episodes of Doctor Who in the classic era that have exactly that. And they're my least favourite ones. Like, I just don't care for kind of... Like, there's some classic stories set on a planet called Peladon. And whenever they go there, it's the third Doctor, whenever he goes there, he's always just involved in the plot. The king has had an assassination attempt. We think it was the blah 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 and the Gucci guards.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't care. I don't care. I wish they killed him. I don't give a fuck. Like, yes, Joe, we need to save Peladon, or the intergalactic, Federation is gonna... I don't care. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one, because to some extent, I feel like then it's just down to personality. Like, if you enjoy fantasy movies or like sci-fi movies or whatever,
the only piece of media I can think that's leaned into that I enjoy is second mention is South Park. There's a South Park video game, The Stick of Truth, which parodies The Lord of the Rings almost exclusively. Like, it's a fantasy game. And I didn't think I would enjoy it because I don't like fantasy, but it does it in a clever way. Not clever, but it does it in a fun way, because it's also poking fun at the genre and pointing out the tropes and pointing out the holes and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So I was able to enjoy that a lot more as a parody. Because it takes itself too seriously, that genre, and all that, in my opinion. Dune looks like it takes itself way too seriously.
It is a very... Well, I will say it's a very serious movie, and it kind of like, it doesn't have very many points in which you get to laugh. Like, there was no point during the film that there was like, people just like burst out laughing or anything.
No, I don't mean take yourself too seriously in terms of there should be jokes. I mean more like, recognise the ridiculousness of, like, you're on a desert planet with big sandworms and a big... I've seen the trailers, a big fat naked rhino man or whatever the fuck he is.
Yeah, so he's like that's a weird thing as well. Okay, I didn't quite get it to begin with, but he's just like a normal person.
Is he albino?
He's albino, but so is everyone in like his like bloodline and his like race. He's actually just so big because he's fat.
Oh my god, I assumed he was like a rhino man.
No bullshit. He just seems to be that way because he's
a lot
just
of cake.
Massive.
Wow.
He's just huge.
So yeah, that's I don't care about that. Like, it's a ridiculous premise to me Stop being like, oh, this is that the stakes have never been higher. Like, no, just tone it down a bit. Camp it, let it be a bit camp. If the evil guy came out, and when he came out, he was like, because he's so big and fat, he's like willed out, and he was like, he's being, like, he's campy. I'd enjoy a bit of camp. Lord of the Rings is the same thing. Lord of the Rings, it seems campy. It's not. I know it's not. It's taking itself way too seriously. The only camp thing in that is Gollum. And he doesn't count.
I don't know. I feel like I disagree with you on that, because I feel like, not on that it isn't like campy, but I feel like I disagree in that I think a lot of movies can take itself super seriously and also be done really, really well.
Oh yeah, but in that genre.
Yeah, sure. in that genre. I don't know. I think Dune 2, it kind of stuck to a very typical kind of like, you didn't know exactly what was going to happen next, but you had a pretty general idea, and it stuck to that.
Yeah.
But I think it was just directed and written so well that, you can just kind of enjoy it a lot while watching it and appreciate that.
Again, from Blade Runner 2049, I can see that the director is really good. And I'm sure he brought a really unique vision to the film. I'm sure it looked lovely, Yeah,
visually it was really, really... for something set on a desert planet, it was actually really enjoyable to watch.
No, even that. I've seen enough desert planets in Star Wars, mate. Nothing appeals to me anymore. Set on a planet of fire. Do something like that. How was he acting in it? Because obviously it's got like 4 big names in it. Because people are like, oh, there's no A-listers anymore. And it's like, no, I disagree with that. Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, Austin Butler, and Florence Pugh are A-listers for our generation. So how are they all in it?
I really enjoyed the acting, actually. I think, especially when you kind of see like Timothy Chalamet in like interviews and stuff like that, he seems very different from his character.
Yeah.
He seems way more. Obviously, his character's meant to be stern, but he seems like very.
He's like Willy Wonka in real life.
Yeah, I guess he's just an actor. He's putting on an act, but that much is given. But I did really enjoy it, yeah. And there were quite a few moments where I was like, wow, the acting is really good in this scene or that scene, but it happened multiple times throughout the movie, so I'm happy about that. No,
that's good. I mean, how were the others? How was Zendaya in the film? Because she's never really impressed me with her acting, to be honest.
I don't know. I think she's never really stuck out to me as like a super amazing actor. I feel like
I've heard her best works in Euphoria, the show, which I haven't watched. But like the movies I have seen her in, like Malcolm and Marie and fucking Spider-Man and all that shit. Yeah, she's always come off as a little bit mid.
I will say I think I preferred the actor. I think the actor that did a better job was the. Oh god, I can't remember her name, but she was like a blonde-haired woman.
The same one in Oppenheimer, Florence Pugh.
No, I don't think so. I've got to check this now.
Oh wait, you could mean Rebecca Ferguson? Is she older?
Not older, she's very young.
Oh, it probably is Florence Pugh. Does she wear like a chainmail thing?
Oh yeah, it is her. Yeah. Okay.
She's in Oppenheimer too, yeah.
Yeah. Oh right, I didn't even. Wait, is she?
She's Jean. She's the one with her titties out and shit.
Oh, that's her. Yeah. Oh damn, she looks so different.
She's the one who becomes death, destroyer of wealth.
Yeah, but actually that leads on to the second movie that we watched, Oppenheimer, which that was.
Yeah, because obviously we've both seen Oppenheimer before. We've talked about it on the pod. And when I first saw it, because that'd be my third time watching it. I stand by what I've said before, being that it should have ended with the bomb detonating. That's just the perfect end for the film. Yeah. I don't know why you wouldn't. But obviously that happens 2 hours in, there's another hour left. And my first watch, I remember my reaction being like, oh, what a perfect way to end the film. What a really quick 3 hours. And then it went on for another hour. Yeah. It's the best way I can describe it. And I was feeling it. And then the second time I watched it, which was your first time. Yeah. It just dragged. I just remember sitting in and just being like, oh man, this last hour blows.
Yeah.
And then this third time, that was months ago. This third time, I was kind of prepared for it. I was like, okay, I know the third hour is probably going to drag. Just got to sit through it. It didn't. Yeah. It was really engaging.
That was easily the point which I was like, wow, the movie's suddenly over, and I've been like thoroughly engaged for the final hour. And that's something I've noticed with longer movies is, it's so noticeable when it's a longer movie. You get to the end and you're like, wow, this X part of the movie really dragged. They should have trimmed it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it really didn't. If anything, I think I preferred somehow the more like political side of it.
This time around, I can honestly agree.
I don't know why either. And it was when you kind of leaned over to me and said, wow, I actually really enjoyed that like second half. I was like, that I thought I was kind of weird for thinking that.
Yeah.
Because the first time round, I think they kind of throw so much stuff at you. They throw names, flashbacks, fast forwards, different references.
Just random A-list actors.
Yeah, just bunch of different bullshit they throw at you, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And after already digesting like 2 hours of a movie, your brain is fried and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
But that didn't happen.
Yeah, and it makes me rethink something I said in my initial review, where I was like, does the movie need to be 3 hours long? You could probably trim the last act, to a brisk 20 minutes. No, I disagree with that now. No, everything in that last act's actually really good, and it actually, now I've watched it again, and I think it's because I've kind of gotten away from my initial annoyance at it not ending with the bomb being dropped. Because the first 2 times I watched it, it was like there was like a week between them. But this has been months now.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I disagree with what I said. Yeah. I can't really think of much that could be cut from the final act.
Do you know what I think it might be? So today, obviously, we were both watching back to back, pretty much. I mean, yours was a little bit of a gap between, but basically back to back movies. So mentally, I feel like we were both prepared to be just sitting down for a long time and just enjoying the movie.
Yeah.
However, I feel like watching Oppenheimer the first time round, I was like, oh wow, this is going to be a really long movie. I'm going to have to slug through it.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd already accepted that I was going to be sitting in the cinema for like 6 hours today.
Yeah.
So I was like, it doesn't matter how long it goes on for, I'm just going to sit and enjoy it.
Yeah. It's like an acid trip. You can't get off. You just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, you're in it to win it.
Hilariously, because again, I watched Barbie and Oppenheimer again in cinemas, Barbenheimer, like I did the first time. I enjoyed watching it this time way more than the first time. The first time I did Barbenheimer in the cinemas, I was like, oh man, I'm not going to do that again. That's a lot. I've put myself through a lot today. No, I really enjoyed it actually. This was even this morning when I woke up, I was dreading it a little bit. I was like, oh man, I'm sure Barbie will be fun, but I reckon I'm going to be really tired mentally by the time Oppenheimer, like it was last time.
Yeah.
No, I'd do it again. Like it's actually, especially those 2 movies, because there is such a tonal clash. There's a reason it became a meme. It's actually a really funny double bill to watch. I almost want someone to do a fan edit editing the movies together somehow. I think that'd be fucking hilarious.
Well, it's a weird one, because I think I was even tempted to say to you, if you don't mind, do you mind just walking out after the bomb goes off? Because I was
thinking the same, except it was Louise's. My sister came too. It was her first time.
I see.
If we'd all seen it before, I would have suggested it.
Yeah,
and I'm glad I didn't. To the point where I gave it a 7. Either it's a really strong 7, or I might even bump it up to an 8. It kind of redeemed it for me, because it's been on digital for months. I could have watched it at any point during the past few months, but I haven't because of those 2 initial experiences in the cinema. But I probably will watch the film again at home. Like, I didn't think I would. I even said that to you before the film started. I was like, I'm probably never going to... It's probably going to be a cinema-only film for me.
Exactly.
But no, I'm kind of looking forward to the next time I can watch it.
Yeah. And I think I rarely rewatch movies that I've, watched recently. But I think rewatching it, you can kind of appreciate the acting a lot more, which might seem weird, but I don't know. You can just focus more on how they're acting.
No, I can very much agree with that, and to the point where, like, first of all, Cillian definitely does deserve the Oscar from the performances I've seen thus far. But even then, Emily Blunt as the wife, she was nominated.
Yeah.
She's actually really good in the movie. Like, really, really good. Like, definitely deserved.
I definitely can't point to any one actor in the movie and be like, wow, they really, they really threw it off for me. They screwed that role up.
Yeah.
But no.
But yeah, no, really good. I do still stand by my opinion that I do think it would have maybe worked better as a 3-part miniseries. Because even though I did enjoy the final act, I do think all 3 acts are still really distinct. Like, the first act could be, the first episode could be, the all the setup basically just before, end it when Oppenheimer gets recruited for the Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
End the second episode with the bomb. And then the third episode being the political side of it all.
Yeah,
I still think that is a format that would actually really work and would probably make the film a lot more accessible.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I'll let the audience know. I'm considering bumping it up. I enjoy. This was the most I've enjoyed Oppenheimer in the times I've watched it. I'm glad I can say that. I mean, the reason it was in cinemas again, if you didn't know, Leander, is that they're showing all the Best Picture nominees again. So yesterday I watched Past Lives. Today it was Barbie and Oppenheimer. Tomorrow the Holdovers, which I haven't seen yet. Blah, 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 blah. Going all the way to next...
Is it a different one every day?
Yeah. Going all the way till next Friday, where they're finally showing... they're going to be showing Poor Things again. And talking of Poor Things, I made you watch it.
You did?
Because I love it. I really do.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did make me watch it, because at first I was a bit, skeptical of watching it, because... At first, you described it as a really weird movie. And it is a really weird movie, but in its own right. And then you said, wow, it's also super, super explicit. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's a hard 18.
Yeah, it's a hard 18. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay. And then I watched the trailer, and then that kind of all backed off. And I was suddenly a little bit more interested in it, because I don't know. There was something about the trailer that I watched that felt very unique in the sense that, a lot of the times you'll watch the trailer for the movie and you won't even need to go see the movie. Yeah. You basically already seen
That's why I try to avoid trailers nowadays. I mean, I hadn't seen the trailer for Poor Things when I went and saw it. I had no idea what it was going to be about. And that's why I felt comfortable giving you those warnings. I kind of wish I'd had that warning, because I went and saw it with my sister, because I had no idea. I kind of wish someone was like, by the way, your sister's not going to enjoy this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's because when it came out, I watched it. I talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but there wasn't much I could say because I didn't want to spoil it. And I'm just glad I can talk about it now. So, let's get into it. What did you really think? What was your first thought when the movie finished?
Okay, when the movie finished, I broke it up into 2 parts. Yeah. Because it's not a super long movie, but it's decently long.
I'd say the acts are distinctive too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's quite easy to break it up into segments. I think when I finished watching it, I was very pleasantly surprised with how it ended, because I wasn't really... There was no definitive plot that I was like, oh, this is going to happen next, or oh, this is going to happen next. It was just the movie threw stuff at you and you just had to watch it.
Yeah. It's a very character-driven movie. That character being Bella Baxter, who is an incredibly unique kind of character. Yeah. So yeah, because I mean, again, I love the movie, but did I want it to end with her getting married to that guy? No, I didn't give a shit about that. I just wanted Bella to kind of find herself, and that was what I was, interested in and devoted to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what did you think of Bella? What did you think of Emma Stone in this movie?
I thought, first and foremost, she did an amazing job at the acting. Yeah. Because, especially when I think about her in the beginning. Yeah. When she's acting out essentially her being obviously in adult body but mind of a child, throwing temper tantrums, and then you compare that to, I don't know, her having discussions with my favourite character, Harry, I think his name was, the guy on the ship, sinister, that guy, And there's such like a stark contrast that I really enjoyed that, and her kind of like progression as a character.
You know, the beginning of the movie, her performance as, I mean, the movie even says that you know, the guy comes in and is like, wow, what a gorgeous retard.
Yeah.
But unironically, because again, I work at a special needs school, it's a really fucking good performance. Some of the kids are exactly like that, to the point where I was getting like a little uncomfortable while I was watching it.
Really?
Yeah. Unironically.
Wow,
Like, it's a really,
I didn't realise it was that good.
Yeah, it's really good. Like, that's a very realistic performance, in my opinion. And yeah, I mean, the acting overall is phenomenal. I really do. I would love for her to win the Oscar for this. I think it's very well deserved.
Definitely.
I still need to watch the rest of the Best Pictures, and then I'll try and fit in the Best Actor, Best Actress nominees. But man, a standout performance, really was. Like, really great performance.
Yeah, I think...
What did you think of the colour choices, can I ask?
What did I think of the colour choices?
Like the choice to begin in black and white and move on to colour when she ventures out into the world.
I quite enjoyed that, because it almost seemed like... I don't really know how to explain it, but it almost seemed like in the beginning, when it was all in black and white, was just kind of her childhood, and it was like her growing up. And if you put that in the context of, like, I don't know, say somebody who is like older now, you know, their childhood would have been in black and white, and so I appreciated that. Yeah. But also I think it kind of marked a point where her character developed enough that she was her own person, and not just like a dribbling retard that's like stumbling around. Yeah. But
I mean, I think the film looks amazing. From the colour, which is very vibrant and standout, but also just the set and production design. Like, what a gorgeous world they've created here.
Yeah, but I'm also really glad that the world wasn't too, like... It wasn't afraid to explore really dark, like, concepts. Yeah. So, I don't know, for example, when they get off at the ship and there's all the, you know, dead children lying in this, like... Pit. Yeah, they called it the pit. I don't know what they were doing in the pit. It was really jarring to see.
I think they lived in the pit.
Yeah, I think they lived there, but it was
pit children, pit boys.
Yeah.
Pit girls, yeah.
And then I suppose her character in and of itself committing suicide, and then the brain of her baby being put in her body.
Which is a very strange idea.
That was a mind fuck and a half. Yeah. But I will say it makes sense now that, because when you think about it, you see a half duck, half pig, or something with the head of a this and the head of a that. Yeah. And I remember watching it and I was just like, wow, that's really abstract. And then as I saw it more and more, I was like, well, it kind of makes sense then that they did what they did to Bella.
See, the first when I was first watching it and they revealed that, my first thought process was, okay, but that makes it a bit like, so she's got the mind of a literal child, and they're throwing her into all this kind of sophisticated sexual stuff. But then I was thinking about that aspect of it more, and I was like, well, no, because while it might be the mind of a child, she's got something right now that no child has, which is all of the adult hormones and the adult, you know, the all that sort of stuff, still flowing around in her body. Like, she might have a young brain, but she is a grown up, and all those grown up chemicals are still flowing around. I think it's a really interesting exploration to what that could be like, because obviously that's not something that's ever happened in real life before. But if you were an adult and you swapped brains with a child, that child would get mature a lot faster because it's got all of that already built up, you know. Yeah. Well, if anything, you'd probably regress a bit. I haven't got that. Really, like, you actually, now I think about it, you would. Yeah. If your brain suddenly woke up in an 8-year-old boy who hadn't gone through puberty yet, you would actively get dumber. I very much believe that.
Probably. But also, I can't remember what they said. There was one line in the movie that really stuck out to me, and it was something that the I forget what the doctor, surgeon, God, yeah,
William Dafoe, another brilliant performance.
Yeah, but he said something like, she's progressing much quicker than we had all thought. Yeah. However, then when they took on the new project, the new like woman, she didn't progress in a similar fashion
That's
to
true
her.
too.
So that got me thinking, was it because maybe it was her daughter's brain implanted, or what was... Because they don't really explore why. They just kind of say it is what it is. You've got to deduce your own reasoning for it. But
no, that's actually a really good point. I mean, it could be something to do with that. I don't remember if they say that the new girl had a similar story there. I don't know. I mean, because it could be something to do with the mum. I mean, you know, it could be a kind of spiritual thing. The fact that the mum committed suicide could have something to do with it. Like, it was a traumatic death, maybe. Well, you know, I don't know. I mean, the film doesn't really get into the idea of, like, souls or anything like that. But
yeah.
I don't know. It could be something like that. But, I mean, either way, that's the thing with a film like this. When they're throwing so much surreal, almost absurdist concepts in. And that's another thing. This film does not take itself too seriously.
Oh, yeah. There's no point which it's like... Yeah, it's very much here, there, and everywhere. Exactly.
And yeah, when they're throwing that much surreal stuff into it, at some point, it's not that you have to shut your brain off at all. This is a very existential film, a very human film. But it's more that you can just enjoy the ride. You don't have to overthink that. Like, otherwise, you are going to get bogged down into like what I said when I first watched it. Like when I first watched it, because you could overthink it and you could be like, oh, so this is like a 5-year-old girl having tons of sex? Ew. Like, no, don't overthink it, man. Don't think, you know, not that you are. I'm saying, like, to general people, don't think about it like that.
It also, I feel like the black and white probably helps because it definitely feels like a time skip.
Yeah.
Even though to some degree it might not be as drastic as it might seem, but I think it's less the actual time skipping and her brain kind of, you know, switching into a more...
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's my take on it, at least.
No, I get that.
I did want to ask, though, what you thought of the husband. Or I suppose ex-husband, because the wife is technically dead, but...
I don't know. I will admit, that little side of the plot is my least favourite part of the film. He's obviously a prick. Fuck that guy. I almost wish they could have done more with him, because when he comes in, I almost wish he was like built up a little bit, essentially. Because he comes in as a very kind of hard turn when the wedding's happening.
Yeah.
And don't be wrong, I completely understand why she would go with him. But
it was also very jarring because it kind of... It kind of came completely out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I know you might say other stuff came completely out of nowhere, like her having to become a prostitute for money to get back to London. Or
see, even stuff like that because sex is such a huge theme in the film, and that makes sense to me because it is also such a very human thing. And this is a film about humanity. This is a film about what it means to be a human being. So yeah, I completely get that. So her becoming a prostitute, I thought, was just a further exploration of the theme. But the thing with the husband, I mean, in a way, it explores it further because he's gonna give her the... What did I actually call that? Clitotomy?
I have no idea.
He was gonna cut off a clit.
Yeah.
Maybe stuff something up there. I don't fucking...
Who knows what he was...
Who knows?
I didn't actually know what he was trying to accomplish with that. I think it was just
a way I saw it as just a way of like controlling her and owning her. I will remove your clit.
And he did seem like a very like overbearing, controlling person, hence why he was literally carrying a gun and pointing it at...
And hence why she killed herself in the very beginning anyway. I think the main thing I love, not the main thing I love, but the standout in this film, as great as Emma Stone is, I hope she wins the Oscar 100%. Mark Ruffalo in this movie steals every fucking scene he's in. He's incredible. Because have you seen Barbie yet?
No, I haven't.
The two big front runners are him, Mark Ruffalo, and Ryan Gosling as Ken.
I see.
Now, before I saw Poor Things, I was like, fuck yeah, give it to Ryan Gosling. Don't give it to Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling's amazing in Barbie, but no, Mark Ruffalo is so much better. Every single word out of his mouth is so fucking perfectly delivered. Even that simple "ow" when he gets that. How do you make an ow amazing? But he does it.
It was funny because I think his character delivered so many funny one-liners that he was always entertaining when he was on the screen. There was never a point like... And also I feel like to some extent he kind of brought a bit of realism into the show.
Yeah.
With everything being so fantasy, from like the colour of the sky being all these like different things and this, that, and you know.
Which is also hilarious because he starts the film as a very, you know, eccentric, like a very unrealistic character. Yeah. But then you just see him devolve into a blubbering mess. The bit where he's at the window screaming Bella.
Yeah.
It's like, man, yeah, I know there are guys like that out there. Like this is suddenly very real.
Yeah, and even like, I don't know, just his humour and just the way he talked about stuff reminded me of...
He's almost Shakespearean.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
One of my favourite lines from him is when they've just done the furious jumping and he's in bed and he's like, you've just been laid by the most solid man in the world, something like that. And then she's like, can we do it again? And he's like, even I have my limits.
Yeah, he's like, even I have my limitations or something like that.
Like, he deserves that Oscar. That was an amazing performance.
Yeah.
But every performance in the film is amazing. Even like the old woman who runs the prostitution. What a creepy character she is.
Yeah, I found her really, really weird. But kind of weird in a fitting way.
She could play a good Gollum in live action.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's kind of hard to describe how... the kind of vibe that she gave off. It was just like, it was
eerily
rapey. Rapey.
Yeah, it was 100% rapey. But I feel like most people who run prostitutions are probably rapey.
Yeah.
What did you think of the sex in the movie?
I found it very like jarring because and very uncomfortable, and in like especially like the first half, because obviously like the movie's trying to portray a woman but with like the mind of like a younger woman or like younger girl.
Even if you take away that aspect of it, she's clearly a very mentally challenged person at the beginning of the movie. You know? Yeah. Even if you take away the brain of a baby, like even if she's not that, she's clearly mentally challenged.
Yeah. And she, I don't know, just has some really weird phrases. Even like the furious jumping.
Yeah.
That actually made me laugh out loud the first time I heard that. I was like...
Yeah, it's like I love how she kind of keeps that throughout the movie though. Like there's the bit where she's gone on the journey, you know, she's grown and matured, but then she goes back to God and she's asking about her pregnancy and she just goes, was there a baby in my belly? Like that's such a childish way of putting it. Yeah. I love how she kind of retains in her language that element of childlike wonder, you know.
Yeah.
See,
and I suppose even when I don't know, something like going back to the pit, seeing the dead children in the pit, she has a very childish reaction to it, where she just kind of breaks down crying. She steals all the money and tries to give it to them, and like naively gives it to the guards. But yeah, I don't know. Then it's kind of off-put with her also having like philosophical talks with like Harry and the older lady on the boat and that kind of thing. So it's kind of, it's like a double-edged sword. It's hard to place.
That's another thing you could lean into the child aspect of it, because what are kids always doing? They're always learning.
Yeah.
Like every day a child will learn something, and it is kind of the same with her. You know, if you compare her from the very beginning to the very end, she grows. Her character arc is so perfect. She grows so much, but it still retains some of those elements. Like even her reaction to the husband coming in, where she immediately wants to go. I get why she does it, but it was immediate. Like, yes, I want to learn more about myself. You know, it all comes from that place of learning.
Yeah.
I see. With the sex, first of all, big props to Emma Stone, because she had just had a baby. Like,
oh really?
Like a couple of months before the filming began. Not a lot of actresses would do that. So I've got to applaud her kind of, not bravery, but the fact that she would do that. essentially. But also, I've spoke about it on the podcast. I'm not a fan of sex scenes. Don't like them.
I feel like, I've got a similar opinion, but I feel like a lot of the times they're just put in the movie for the sake of it, and there's just like
Oppenheimer's a great example.
Yeah, Oppenheimer is an amazing example because like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I've said before, the only nude bit in Oppenheimer I think really works for the story is Emily Blunt's vision when they're in the interrogation room. That one shot, that's the best use of it in the entire movie. The rest of it, when they're just sat on the chair.
Yeah, where they're just sat nude, cross-legged on the chair. I'm like,
I have become come of worlds. Like, that's all shit. But this movie, I've got to be honest, no, I really, the fact that this movie has sex scenes, this movie would not work as well without them. You need to, because it's such a human movie, and the way they're portraying it, even in the big montage when she is a prostitute, like it's actually really well done. Like if any movie needed sex scenes, it would be this movie. It wouldn't work as well without it.
And I feel like it kind of goes back to the nature of the main character. She's a very curious person, therefore obviously sexual intercourse, sexuality, that kind of thing would be explored, and so it wouldn't make sense for them to just not even acknowledge it at all. But
even more than that, this is a character who, and you can see it throughout the movie, she is without shame.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know she should be. So
that's a really good point, actually. It feels almost as if they've just taken any social embarrassment out of her brain and she just doesn't have any.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the best non-nudity scene for that is the dance.
Yeah.
Like, which is an incredible scene anyway. And I love how Mark Ruffalo gets into it, and he kind of goes along with her, and he stops kind of feeling that shame. If anything, he does that throughout, because when he's at the window screaming up at her, he should be ashamed, but he isn't. But nudity wise, I think the best scene for that is the prostitution montage. Like, she should be ashamed, and there are bits where she's clearly not happy about it because the person you see. But like, for example, that bit in the montage where it's her with the dad and those two kids.
Oh, that was really uncomfortable.
It's really uncomfortable, but there's something about her in that scene, like at the very end when she winks at them. Like, no, this movie, it's uncomfortable, but no, this movie would be really different if it didn't have that. If it didn't have her being so open with her nudity.
Yeah, I think it kind of, I don't know how to explain it, aside from if she felt uncomfortable or was portraying herself to be uncomfortable in any of these like otherwise weird scenes, as a viewer, I feel like I would just like want to just immediately skip. However, there was like scenes that were like uncomfortable to watch, like the one that you said with like the kids, the dad that paid her for them to have sex and their kids were making notes, and I feel like, I don't know, her lack of uncomfortability, I don't know, it makes it less, like, completely jarring to watch.
And it's even more than that, because, like, take Oppenheimer again, for example. Does Florence Pugh's character seem uncomfortable? No, not at all. But when you're watching a movie and it has nudity, like in Oppenheimer, I always get the sense that the actress is uncomfortable.
Definitely.
Emma Stone, at no point, like, I feel like she probably really not found it freeing, but I think she understood how important that was. I didn't get any vibes of it. Like, I feel like she probably she would be happy with it. She'd advocate it. Like,
I think,
and that goes for her performance. Like,
I agree with you as well. It's a really weird thing of like, it's hard to say in words, but visually watching somebody act, doesn't matter how good of an actor you are, during like a nude scene or a sex scene, I feel like it's impossible to show if you're truly feeling uncomfortable and you have to act like you're not. I feel like you just can't do that.
Yeah.
So to some extent, I feel like she definitely owned this movie. Yeah,
and it also that also is because she's worked with the director a lot. I mean, the only other film I've seen of this director is one called The Favourite, which is really good. It's the one that Olivia Colman won her Oscar for. Really great movie. I think it's clear that she felt comfortable on set. She probably really trusts this director. She the next film he's doing, she's going to be working with him too. Like, there's something about that sort of chemistry that you just kind of, you know, you can feel the vibe, you know. This film didn't give me bad vibes with its nudity. Not like Oppenheimer did. Oppenheimer, genuinely, the first time I watched it gave me bad vibes, the nudity.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I don't know if it was just like, okay, here's a good comparison. Take the scene where Oppenheimer's in the interrogation room, and through Emily Blunt's eyes, she's viewing them having sex.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a very uncomfortable scene to watch.
Yeah.
However, compare that with, I don't know, random scene, you know, that isn't even that bad in Poor Things, like
just the montage of her and Mark Ruffalo going for it.
Literally, like that.
Every position throughout the room. You know,
I feel like it's just very, I don't know, that it's almost like there's a curiosity to her character that makes sense for her to be doing these things, as opposed to, you know, why the fuck is Oppenheimer getting
in a way
dance?
It's hilarious because the character isn't, but I feel like Poor Things is way more mature about its nudity than something like Oppenheimer is. Like, it's handling it in a very adult, realistic way. Like that bit where she's trying to get
asking questions. Is that what you're gonna say?
Well, yeah, in a way, but the bit where she's trying to get Mark Ruffalo out of bed and she just takes off her skirt and is just walking around without her trousers on. Like, that's quite realistic. That's the sort of thing an actual woman could do, you know? I hate it when in films, and again they do it in Oppenheimer, it's almost like the nudity becomes like a big thing. Like the bit with the I am become death destroyer of worlds bit.
Yeah.
It's almost like that the main focus of that scene is the nudity. But apart from like the actual montages, where technically it is. But this film handles nudity in a way where I don't feel like it is the main focus of the scene. The main focus is Bella and her reaction to just the world in general.
Yeah.
It's not, hey, look at her tits. It's just like, no, her tits are out, but it's, look at Bella. Look how Bella's reacting to it. She has no shame in it. She's trying to use her sexuality as an advantage.
Yeah.
You know?
On the flip side, though, what were your thoughts on, like, the gore to begin with? Because there was a lot of, like, I don't know, like, brain, like, transplants or, you know, there was open surgery and, like, post-mortem surgery and all these, like, I feel like a lot more, I don't know, like weird stuff. What were your thoughts on that?
See, I'm not someone who's ever had problems with gore. I mean, the fact that it's an 18, obviously it's an 18 for the sex, but when something is an 18, you kind of get free reign to do shit like that. I didn't mind it at all. And if anything, it's almost like a bit of a litmus test, because that's so early on in the film. Because if you can't stomach that, I'm not saying the rest of the film is gory, not by any means, but it's a very adult, mature film.
Yeah.
And if you can't it's a bit too bloody, I feel queasy, just stop watching it. Just don't watch the film. Like,
yeah. Although, that being said, I remember there was one scene, I think it was like a surgery scene that I was like, I looked at it and I was like, what? Because I know that's obviously not, I think it was maybe the like post-mortem like surgery when they just took the scalp to like the chest and like cut it open.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that looks, I mean, they must be using some kind of prop that can't be CGI because it looks so
it was
real.
Almost certainly physical.
It was definitely like something there physically.
Yeah.
And that was kind of weird. I was like, whoa, because you can.
I'm fine. That's the thing. When you know it's fake, like I do, I'm fine with gore in films. It's for example the most anything in a film or TV show has actually got me to like gag and like be like, oh, this is too much. Two things. Some Jackass bits when I first watched them really got me because you know that shit's real.
Yeah.
And the second one, third mention in this podcast, there's an episode of South Park where Mr. Garrison is getting the sex change, and they show actual surgery of a transgender surgery. They just show it like actual real footage. And I remember the first time.
Not even like.
No, not actual footage.
Bruh.
Like taken from a hospital.
Damn.
Yeah, and I to this day, no man, that's too much. I'll skip that episode when we watch it. Fuck that.
Yeah.
And I get why they did it. They did it because they were trying to make the point of being like, hey, you don't get me wrong. Even if you are angry, you should know what you're angry about, or you should know what you're either for or against in the scenario. But man, no, I don't want to see that. Fuck that. I don't want to see that. It's gross. I hate shit like that. I hate shows, reality shows like Embarrassing Bodies or 24 Hours on A&E. That when it's real, I get queasy. But the fake shit, I don't have a problem with.
I don't know. It was more like in the beginning, I think I probably had more of a reaction to that. Probably because I was like, I know no matter what, I'm going to sit through this whole movie because you said it was really good. So I'm going to sit through the whole thing and see what it's about.
Yeah.
If the whole thing is like this, I don't know if I can sit through the whole thing.
Yeah. No
matter how like good it is, because I'm not a massive fan of like gore in. Yeah. Unless it's like a horror, but. Yeah. This was definitely not a horror movie.
No, not at all. What genre would you put this in?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would put it in. Fantasy, would I?
In a way.
Yeah, it's got to be fantasy. There's no other one that springs to mind that I'm like, oh yeah, it's definitely.
I'm gonna see what they've actually put it in on IMDb. Before I check that, I would put it. I mean, it's definitely surreal, but surreal isn't really a genre. I'd say. I mean, in a way, it's fantasy. I'd put it. In a way, hilariously, I feel like you could make a point of this being like a coming of age film, even though it's not a kid. Like,
true.
You know, in a way,
or even like a growing up movie.
Yeah,
because it's kind of.
Let's see what they've put it in. So apparently, the genre of this film is I don't know if I agree with that. An epic romance.
An epic romance?
I can agree with the epic part, to be fair.
What does that even mean in terms of movies? Because I'm not like an
epic.
An epic, yeah.
Like a character goes on a journey and it's like an odyssey.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I can agree with that. It's not a romance. It also said on the there's definitely I would say is a strong comedy undertone. The entire film.
It's like a. Okay, if we were to make a really long-winded genre name, it would be like an epic romance comedy.
I don't know if I'd say romance at all, really.
Really? You wouldn't say romance at all?
Because that's not... I mean, there's definitely romantic elements in the film, but that's not the main focus at all, in my opinion. Not for me, and certainly not for Bella. I don't think Bella at any point in the film... She has a lot of sex, but I don't really think she falls in love.
Yeah,
doesn't. She's not actively pursuing that.
But it's weird because it's almost like the best way to describe it is it's almost like she's a sociopath. Yeah, sociopath.
She lusts. She doesn't love.
Yeah, it's almost like she's got such a pragmatic view on the world that she can't have those kind of emotions.
Yeah.
Although it's not like she is a sociopath. She does have very real, obvious emotions.
Yeah.
Like throughout the movie, but yeah, it's hard to pinpoint.
I would say epic comedy. In a way, you could just say drama.
Yeah.
Epic comedy drama. Is it? Would I describe it as a comedy drama though?
Oh,
I don't know. That's the thing with films as weird and surreal as this. Sometimes they just kind of defy genres. You know, like
it's almost too unique to just be put in like one singular.
Exactly. And I love that for it. But yeah, what would you rate it?
I would rate it. What would I rate it? Probably 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't go any higher than that because it's not like there's certain like types of movies that I enjoy more than others. So
I get that.
But at the same time, I don't think I'd rewatch it on my own. I'd rewatch it with somebody else if they like heard about it and they were like, "Oh, I'm unsure about."
Would you be
it.
down to come to the cinema Friday? Watch it.
Fuck it, yeah. What time is it?
It'd be same as Oppenheimer, 7:30.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I personally, not only did I give it a 9, but this is my pick for Best Picture. It's not my favourite film of the year. That is still Past Lives. But
I need to watch that.
But here's the thing. As much as I love Past Lives, and I fucking adore Past Lives, I'm just going to say there's no way in hell it's winning Best Picture. It's not. It just won't. It's not the sort of film that will win Best Picture compared to some of the competition. I do think Oppenheimer will win. I think I wish Poor Things won.
Yeah,
it deserves it more.
Not gonna lie, I think from a movie critic perspective, I feel like Oppenheimer kind of ticks all of the boxes.
Yeah,
and it's not.
As much as I enjoyed Oppenheimer this time around, I still stand by my. It's not even a criticism, just an opinion. I think it's a very safe movie. It's not a movie that takes risks. This movie took a ton of risks, and they all paid off.
Yeah, true.
You know, and I do think that deserves credit. So yeah,
they put it all on green, and spun the roulette wheel, and landed.
Exactly.
Somehow.
So yeah, I would love for this to win Best Picture. At the very least, Emma and Mark deserve their Oscars. They do. But yeah, 8.5. Love that. I gave it a 9. So very similar.
Yeah.
And to me, this is a 9. This is a really strong 9. The only reason it's not a 10 is because again, I don't love the fucking husband subplot.
Yeah, I will say I love how they've divided it into different sections because
the title cards are beautiful too. Even something as simple as that, really beautiful title cards.
And it means that I don't know when you're talking about a part of the movie, it's literally like split up into segments, and you can be like, okay, this part was this part was that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, when like the final part is the way it is, it kind of stands out a little bit more because it's like, oh well, it's almost less adventurous as the rest of the movie.
I'd say that is the safest part of the movie. And again, I still like that. I still like that part of the movie. I still think it's really enjoyable and really well done. And I'm still emotionally, and that's the thing, by the end of that, I am still very emotionally invested in Bella, so it's not exactly, I'm not going to skip it on rewatches or anything. I still enjoy it. But yeah, that's the only thing keeping it from like an actual 10 for me. But no, I stand by 9. You're on 7%.
Yeah.
You should have plugged your phone in sooner, brother.
Here's the thing, and everyone always brings it up. Whenever I open my phone or anything, they're like, Jesus Christ, why is your phone like about to die?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It doesn't bother me. It really doesn't bother me if my phone is like just about to die. When it's single-digit %, then I'm a bit like, oh, okay, I need to chuck it on charge. But
no, for me, it's more that we've been sitting here for an hour with the phone charger just there, and you've only just plugged it in.
Well, it was. I looked at my phone and I was like, ooh, that tiny little sliver. It could be more than 10%, and I was like, oh no, it's 7%. Okay, well that's going on charge.
My phone is on 54.
Good for you.
What was your phone on when? What percentage was your phone on when you went into the cinema?
Like 20%.
Holy shit! I would not leave the house with my phone on 20%.
Really?
Yeah, no way. I'd definitely charge it up before I go.
Okay, I think the lowest I've like left my house is like, I don't know, like 15% or something.
Anything could happen while you're out there. You could need to call the police or something.
Yeah,
like that.
true.
You could actually go missing with your phone being the only thing you've got. I wouldn't leave my house genuinely. I wouldn't leave my house with my phone on less than 80%.
Really?
You never know what could happen. Something could happen that you genuinely desperately need your phone.
Okay, here's my counter argument to that. Okay, the only time that I can ever think that you'll get through your entire, like, I don't know, final 20% of your phone and then desperately need it is if, I don't know, you're going on a really long journey solo and somehow got lost.
I mean, getting lost would be the best case for it. I don't know. All right, say you've left the phone with 15%.
Yeah.
You're walking down the street, phone's on 15. You get hit in the head and kidnapped. You wake up in the back of a van. You've still got your phone on you for some reason. Your hands are tied. You manage to untie them. You jump from the van.
Yeah.
Not only do you need the map, say you don't even need the map. I know exactly where I am. It's really dark. You need your torch. Oh no, the torch is draining the battery. I'm an hour and a half away from my house. I'm 4 hours away from my house.
Okay, but in that situation,
In that very specific scenario.
in that very, very specific scenario, turning on your torch is the last thing you do.
It depends how dark it is.
Imagine they hear a thump out the back and they're like, "Oh
That's
shit!"
really true.
he just jumped from the van. They slam on the brakes and they're like, "Quick, let's get out. Let's look for him." And they see this idiot fumbling around in the dark, turning on their torch, like, "Oh boy, I wonder where he went."
That's really true. Alright, in this specific scenario, you, the van keeps going and they don't notice somehow that you've... Okay. They're all blind people.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
It's not even that. I wouldn't want to have to worry about it. If I leave and my phone's on 80%, I wouldn't worry. I know I wouldn't have to worry for the entire day.
Okay. Here's my thing though. If my phone's ever on a really low percent and I'm going somewhere and I know it's going to be a long-ish trip, I'll take my charger with me.
Yeah, but how do you know you're going to be able to plug it in somewhere?
You're telling me you wouldn't be able to find anywhere to plug it in if you were going on a long journey? No chance. No chance.
Yeah, but say it's a long journey, but you've got a deadline, and what, now you have to sit in a cafe for an hour to let your phone charge up? You have to buy food. They won't just let you sit there. You got to buy food.
I don't know. I mean, even on stuff like trains and buses now, they have like
yeah, but train and bus, they do legally, but they're the worst charges in the world.
Yeah, they are, and they probably have stolen all my information and my bank details.
They've downloaded your search history into the bus.
Yeah, and uploaded it to a file.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It doesn't really. It's one of those things that everyone points out. That do you have one of those things that people point out and they're like, "Wow, that's really weird." But it doesn't bother you at all.
I mean, I'm autistic. I've got a lot of those things.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah. What do you mean you've never tried a grape or strawberry? What's wrong with you?
That actually reminded me. I bought a bunch of fruit the other day, and let me tell you, there is nothing more disappointing than spending money on like a whole box of like, I don't know what you'd call them, like box? Yeah, a whole like
a loom of fruit.
A whole thing of grapes. You bite into the first one, it's not crunchy. There's no crunch at all. It is straight mush.
Grapes should be crunchy?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding? What do you mean crunchy?
As in like they should have some crunch to them. Like you bite into them and... No, wait, no, you're thinking of crunch as in crispy crunchy. Think of crunchy as in like...
You mean just like resistance?
As in, like, have you ever had a plum?
No.
Have you ever had... Oh, fuck. What can I compare this to? Oh, a cherry. Have you ever had a cherry?
No.
You've never... Fuck.
I'd say that's not weird for me.
You've eaten an apple, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine you bite into an apple and it is completely soft and you just...
No, that's disgusting.
That's
but
disgusting.
Are you saying that cherries have the same resistance as an apple?
If you
could lose a tooth in an apple.
Okay, maybe not so much cherries, but grapes. If it's just completely mushy, that sucks, man.
No, I can imagine, but I've not got my head around how crunchy a grape should be yet. It can't be like an apple.
It's
they're so you can squish them.
You can squish them. It's not like an apple. There's nothing really you can compare it to apart from have you ever had like those small tomatoes?
No, I've never tried any sort of tomato.
Fuck's sake.
Try and find a non-fruit or vegetable example.
A non-fruit or vegetable example.
I haven't tried most fruits.
This is gonna... See, that's a tough one, because it can't be any meat, because there just isn't any. It can't be any pasta, because that doesn't work either. It can't be any...
Actually, no. Pasta's a great one.
No.
No, it is, because it is. How is pasta not a great one, actually?
What, to compare to a grape?
when we're talking about crunchiness, yes, because pasta could be any level of crunch depending on how badly you cook it.
I feel like instead of me describing it to you, you just need to eat a grape.
I'm gonna do that. Because what if I eat one and it's the disgusting mushy thing you've said, and then I'm even more confused. My brain explodes.
Yeah,
I'm like,
true.
crunchy, you know.
I need to sample one for you before giving it to
You need to put it in my mouth like a baby bird.
Mama bird it.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm never gonna try a grape though. I'd have to be. I know I'm not even like. Say I was starving to death. I hadn't eaten in days. I'm locked in a basement, and they drop down a basket of fruit. I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably going to starve to death.
I refuse to believe that.
I don't.
There's no way.
I know. Here's a better way of putting it. They put down a basket of fruit, and next to it, a plate of dog food. I'm probably eating that dog food. I know, I've said this on the podcast to Hector before, and he's looked at me in a very similar way. There's some dog food that just straight up smells good.
That is diabolical.
No,
honestly, a terrible day to have functioning neurons. What on earth are my ears hearing?
Some
right
dog food
now?
smell. There's some tins of food or sachets of food that I'll open for one of my dogs, and I'll be like, "That smells quite good." If I was starving, I'd eat that.
Somebody lock this man up.
There's some that are the reverse. For example, I once gave my dog some venison food, dog food. I was gagging. It smelled awful. But what's my dog got? Oh, some lamb. That is very lamby. I enjoy lamb. That smells nice. Does it mean I've gone and tried it? No. But I'm starving to death. You got something that smells like lamb.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
It is lamb. It is functionally lamb.
I've never had a dog, so I can't say as to whether or not dog food is any good. But cat food is like it's got to be the same, and that.
Well, cat food is mostly
not.
fish.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but not all fish is good anyway. I don't like fish that much. I like lamb and beef and chicken a lot more than I like fish.
Actually, you say that. A lot of the cat food is chicken, lamb, beef.
Okay, really?
Weirdly enough. Yeah,
I've never had a cat, so...
Yeah. You'd be surprised, but...
I don't think it could be that... Okay, does cat food have gravy?
Yeah.
See, the gravy, in my opinion, is the only part that I would dread. The actual meat chunks, I'd eat them. Compare that to
no way.
If it was like that or a box of strawberries, I'm eating the dog food without question.
No.
I honestly, I'm not even like. There's not a single doubt in my mind. That or a box of strawberries, grapes, bananas. I'm eating the dog food every time. Every time. That first bite might suck, but I'm gonna chow down into it. I'm starving to death.
There's
Here's why. Don't get me wrong. Will it be as nice as the fruit? Probably not. I wouldn't even try the fruit. I would try the dog food. That's how I know I'd survive. I wouldn't be able to try it. I'd go to put it in my mouth and I'd be like, I'd start having a little autistic meltdown.
That's it. End of the podcast. We're done. We're done here. Good God.
You're the one who asked. You're the one who asked if I'm really weird.
I really regret asking now.
Do you know another thing that I believe that I've been told recently is weird?
What?
I think there are some people who just look like names.
Look like names. Okay, I agree, but I also think it's because there's somebody that you've either seen on TV or met in real life or I don't know, read in a book or something, and you've got a vision of what they look like in your head, and then you see them and you're like, yeah, that guy's a Jacob, that guy's a Josh. Like, for example, because at work, so I work with a woman called Charlotte, and I've known her for months, and at some point literally on Friday in the common room, I was like, oh, you're right, Charlotte, how you doing? And she went, what? I went, how you doing? She went, no, what did you call me? I went, Charlotte. She went, my name is not Charlotte. My name is Nicole. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah, you thought I was called Charlotte this time? And I was like, well, I bet I usually don't have to say someone's name. Yeah, I did. She was like, no, where'd you get that from? I was like, I don't know. Yeah, it's because she looks like a Charlotte to me. She looks way more like a Charlotte than a Nicole. I'm terrible with names, so I'd never, unless I actually know 100% somebody's name is that, I'm rarely gonna say it. Even with like, obviously I work in a cafe, people that come into the cafe, if I could see them like every single day of the week, and I'd still be like, see, I know what your name is, but I'm not gonna say it because just in case it's wrong, and then it's like that real like awkward, like
Like have you met Matt? You've met Matt.
Yeah.
Matt's got a flatmate, and I don't remember his name. I think his name is Elliot.
Yeah, I met him.
You've met Elliot?
I stayed over at.
Right. To me, I have to force myself to remember that name because to me, he looks like a Glenn.
A Glenn.
And
see,
the first time I met him, even though he very clearly said his name, I was sat there, I was buzzed too, I was very drunk, and I was like, I can't say his name because I know I'm going to call him Glenn. He's going to be like, what did you say? So I just refused to say a name for the rest. And then I forgot Elliot, and I was just like, alright, I think his name's Glenn. I know it isn't Glenn. Don't say his name. I told a colleague this, and they decided to test me. They brought up pictures of their family. Here's how I know I'm onto something. He brought up a picture of his sister, and he was like, what do you think her name is? I was looking at the sister, and I was like, is it Amy, maybe? And he went, it's Emily. In my opinion, that's close. That's a very close guess, because they both end in the E.
Is his name Joshua? It's actually Jaquarius, but you're almost there.
No. That's one letter's not enough. It's the sound. Amy, Emily. I think that's very I think that was a good guess. Then he showed me a picture of his mum. How about this one? Genuinely, I went, she looks like an Anna. He went, Emma. That to me, that might as well be the same name. That's a very close guess.
I feel like you're just getting lucky with your guesses here.
I'm not. No, I genuinely wasn't. To me, that looked like an Anna, and it wasn't. It was Emma. That says something to me. I know I didn't get it right legally, but in my head, I basically got it right there.
So hey, have you got any party tricks? Well, I can give you a name that will be slightly similar sounding to your real name. I can
give you a close approximation of your name.
And then okay, what do I look like then?
See, to me, you look a bit like... I would say... This is hard. I would say you kind of resemble... And some people get... You're not going to get offended by any name I say, are you? Because some people would get offended.
I don't know. You could call me some random slur, and that would suck.
You look like an Owen.
A
little bit.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah?
Yeah, Owen.
I could see you being an Owen.
Owen.
I could see you... No, I feel like your name is Meander.
Is your name Lysander?
What do I look like? Do I look like a Bradley? I think I look like a Bradley. Here's the best example. You've met my older brother. If you showed anyone a picture of the two of us and were like, one is Sean and one is Bradley, I think 99% of the time they're going to guess right. I look way more like a Bradley than he does, and he looks way more like a Sean than I do. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong, actually.
I'm not wrong.
It is weird.
Even my sisters, one looks way more like a Louise, one looks way more like an Emily. 99% of the time, I think you're going to get it right.
Yeah. Damn, that is... okay, is that just because I know their names, though?
No, I think if you showed a stranger a picture of me and my brother and were like, guess which one's Bradley, I think they're guessing me. I genuinely do. And it might be weird, but that's my honest to God belief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your brothers, it doesn't count because you all look so fucking similar.
I was going to say, we all look really similar and we all have funky names, so there's no chance.
You all look like a Hector.
Real, all just mini Hectors.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that might be it, though.
Yeah, I think that is just about all the yapping that we've
got in us. How long does it say we've been on for?
1 hour and 22.
Perfect.
Damn.
Awesome, even longer than we thought.
Yeah, well, that is longer.
Yeah, it's like the last dance of Oppenheimer there. Yeah, I'm glad you were able to join me.
Yeah.
I didn't miss Hector. Yeah, maybe we should cut him out. It should just be me and you.
Who is he?
Yeah, Hector who, I say.
Yeah.
He's a co-host of the podcast. He's a good friend of the podcast. He's your brother. You should know him.
I will say I do feel like I've flagged a lot more in this than a regular podcast. Just
You've done what?
because flagged.
What does that mean?
Just been flagging.
What's flagging mean? What does that mean?
Like, okay, I'm gonna have to Urban Dictionary this because.
Right, Urban Dictionary later. We've got to end the episode.
Shit. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Bye.